Welcome to Worth the War. My name is Kimmy, and the purpose of Worth the War is preparing people for healthy love and relationship. Today, I am really excited to share with you Dr. Diane Strakowski. She is the Back to Love Doctor on Instagram. She has a wonderful website that I encourage you to look at.
In episode 2, Dr. Diane is going to share about attachment, why it's important to find a therapist who understands it, and how it affects us and our children. Let's dig into the content.
And I know that you have to really be on your toes to know when you're choosing a therapist or a counselor, because I guess I would expect there to be a baseline of understanding of attachment disorders or attachment issues. Am I right? Do you need to really dig into that to know if they're up on it?
In my clinical training, I didn't learn really much about attachment style. As a clinician, though, right, as a psychologist, you have to do continuing education. We have to do 36 hours of continuing education for our to maintain your license every 2 years. So I went and got my own advanced training on all of this. Now, people who are training now may be having more access to attachment theory-based things, but even then, the theory itself can be a little bit controversial because we're looking at like the strange situation, which was how it's measured in children, and we have something called the PAI, which is an adult assessment inventory, but it's not widely used. I also developed my own quiz because I wanted just a little sampling for people to understand who they are. But my quiz is short. It's like a 2-minute quiz of 10 questions. But fascinating, I do have some data on this. I don't know if you'd be curious to hear like what the breakdown is.
I would. I actually got on your website and loved the quiz. Anybody who gets a chance, we're going to be putting her website, Dr. Diane's website, and her social media outlets on the description here. So absolutely, I was going to bring some attention to that.
So Kimmy, why I even created the quiz, this was about 4 years ago, I launched it, because the classic attachment theory data says 50% of the population is securely attached, because 50% of children in the strange situation, which is how children are measured, and they're between 18 months and 24 months old. They come in with a parent, and we see how they respond to a threat. So the theory that I love is that you're not just walking around like anxiously attached all the time. I only get triggered when I feel like I'm going to be abandoned or rejected, and that's my trigger, okay? So I say, we're all like tea. You don't know someone's flavor until you put them in hot water. And that's when the unmet need shows up. Like, again, I would need reassurance, validation. I would need my partner to see me, get me, hear me, versus an avoidant person, because they didn't actually have a lot of interaction with their parent. They need space. They need peace. Leave me alone. I'm going to my room. I need time to myself to think. And that's so much of what I explain to couples, which is the difference in who needs what. Like, don't take that personally. The data of 50%, I don't know about your experience, but do you think 50% of people are secure?
No.
No, that's what I said. There's no way. I'm like, is it just because this is the population I work with? So my data, I think it hasn't been validated, but I think it's more accurate. So my data says that the majority of people are nervous. They have the anxious attachment style. 46% of women and 42% of men fall into that category. Yeah. And the numbers are not going down. My worry is that we're only getting more anxiously attached as parents themselves are more distracted by a lot of things.
Yeah. The stress and pressure, I believe, of the culture we're stewing here is making it harder to parent kids that are confident.
That's right. So that's the majority of people that I see. The second most popular is the avoidant type. And that could be culturally based too. Like, you grow up in a culture where the goal is to raise a child who's self-sufficient. And that's called epigenetics, where it's carried through multiple generations. So if I'm of a culture that I believe like that's the good thing to do, well, then of course we're going to see that continued as a theme. Right? That's considered good parenting. But those people fall into anywhere about 30%. Then that leaves only about 20% of the securely attached people, and that's much smaller, thank goodness, is the confused type. And that's because they've been abused and they have had horrendous family situations where the child doesn't know who's safe or who isn't, because oftentimes I have family abuse, parental abuse. And that's about 8%. So the numbers shift out depending to men or women. And I'll tell you truthfully, a lot more men think they're securely attached. They'll take my quiz. Oh, I'm secure. And once I really get into deep with them about finding out about their family, I'm like, no. We're going to move you towards that direction. But women somehow seem to be more self-aware, and they'll just respond more accurately to my quiz. And so I see women coming with different scores.
I would think you'd have a lot more people coming to your website, period, who would be more self-aware.
Yeah.
Ask the question even would be self-aware to a degree. What I find interesting about what you're talking about, which I think is really hopeful for all of us, is that often when you kind of peruse the common offering on love and relationships, you get the message, no one can change. This is who they are. It's what they are.
No. And that's the beauty and why I love attachment theory, is that concept of called earned attachment.
In episode 3, Dr. Diane gives us hope for finding real love and understanding our attachment to others. See you next time.